Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Touchpoint webinar. We're just going to allow a few seconds here for everyone to join. I see the attendee number ticking up as you all are logging in and getting settled in for today's presentation. Today's topic is two-way SMS tips and best practices. This is a new feature that Touchpoint recently rolled out, and it's been a popular, highly requested feature, and we're excited to be diving into it today. As a reminder, today's presentation will be recorded, so if you hear something and wanted to go back and listen again later, or if you have to leave early or have connection issues or had a colleague that wanted to view the recording but couldn't make it, we've got you covered. We will be sending that out to the list of everybody who registered tomorrow, and then it'll also be added to the website, so you have multiple ways of accessing this presentation. If you have a question, you can go ahead and enter that question in the Q&A box, and we'll have an image on this next slide here that shows you what that looks like. It's a little widget in the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. Yep, right there. And the raise hand feature, that's a fun feature, but we have no way of chatting to you privately if you raise your hand. So if you do have something that you want to share with the class, please feel free to use the Q&A box. With all that said, I think I will turn things over to Chris. Why don't you get us started?
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. As Leah said, this is a very popular topic, and excited to be talking about two-way SMS. It's a very powerful feature. So I recognize a lot of names here on the call, but for those that don't know me, as Leah said, my name is Chris Dolan, and I head up product and strategy here at Touchpoint, and I'm excited to be talking about this topic with you today. So let's jump in. We have a lot of content here, so I'm going to try to leave some time at the end for questions and answers, so please do put those in the response. If I don't get to them, I'll try to answer them via email after, but put those in the little box at the bottom. All right, so the agenda today, we're going to do a quick overview of why SMS, why it's important, why it's something your church should consider if you're not using it. We're going to talk about use cases, how to roll it out, how to manage lists around it, and then leave some time for Q&A. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So why SMS? There's three words that come to mind when I think about why SMS: fast, effective, and available. First, fast. 90% of SMS messages are read within 3 minutes. That is super fast. Emails, as many of us know, will often sit in an inbox for a very long time and sometimes not even be read at all. That is not the same with SMS. It's instant, it's fast. So if you have something that needs a quick response or something that is very urgent, consider using SMS. Effective, the same thing. Text messages have a 209% higher response rate than phone, email, or Facebook. So if you need something that needs a response that's very quick, that's very timely, consider using SMS. It's a very powerful tool. And thirdly, available. Two more stats here. SMS messages have a 98% open rate, which means people are opening their SMS. Many of us know that email is something that doesn't get as high of open rates these days. There's things that we can do around making sure they're mobile responsive, making sure they have great subject lines, but even so many of us get too many emails. SMS is the opposite. And so they have a much higher open rate, and 75% of consumers are okay with receiving SMS from brands or from churches or from organizations that they participate with this caveat, after they've opted in. So that's something we're going to talk about at the end, but I just wanted to give a quick overview about why SMS is an important tool in your communications arsenal that you should be considering. Next, I want to jump into some use cases. These are 6 use cases that we're going to review today. Maybe you all have found others, but quickly: scheduled reminders, reply words, special links, conversations, replying to requests, and deep linking. Really powerful. There's lots of different ways that you can use each of these, and we're going to actually go into some examples of those as we dive in. So let's go into scheduled reminders. Many of you received a text message from me, in fact, about 20 minutes ago, reminding you of this webinar. So this is an example. You can schedule these out in Touchpoint now. When you're going in and sending a text message, you now have the option to schedule these reminders and put in a date and time. So if you have an event coming up, you can send to all those people that have opted in to text messages and schedule that out to go whenever you'd like. Very powerful. Number 2 is reply words. And here's some examples, but I'm going to actually go back to my first example because you can actually see where I put some reply words in here, like RSVP to let us know that you're going to be on the call, or regrets that lets us know that you're going to miss it. I even, this is the text message that you received looks slightly different than this one because I added another line, which is to actually opt out of text messages altogether. And I'll show you how some of those work. Here's some other examples. Maybe things like include to be added to the SMS list, or maybe later to not be added. Things like, will you, if you're here at church, let us know by replying worship, or attend, or something like that. You can get personalized links to register by sending a word like retreat, and you can have a link that replies back to that person. Let's go ahead and test one example, and then I'll actually show you where and how you can set these up. So if everybody could pull out your phone and the same number that you received the initial text message to, or if you didn't receive the text message, it's because you didn't put your phone number in, or your phone number, there were a few people that had some extra characters in their phone number or things like that, and I didn't have a chance to get it all cleaned up, or it wasn't possible for me to know what was accurate. So if you could go ahead and text the word here to this phone number, then this is taking attendance of who's actually on this call. And I'll show you how that works. So in the SMS Management, if you're familiar with this page, there used to be one tab, just the sent. Now there's 3 tabs: sent, received, and reply words. You can actually go in here, and for every SMS group, and I'll talk about this in a few minutes, you can actually set different reply words for the different groups. And so you'll see words that I've used here, like RSVP, actually marks you as planning to attend an event, and those that replied RSVP got this default message. You can put whatever message you want in here, or there's a default message that will go in there, and if you don't want a message, you can just put the word none in. And then you put the meeting ID for the meeting that they're RSVPing for, or sending regrets to. There were a few people that signed up for this webinar and weren't able to attend, but we told them, we're sad we're going to miss them, but don't worry, we're going to be sending out the webinar via email tomorrow. So they can watch that and get that link. So very helpful. For those that replied here, we're actually recording attendance, and it's showing the default message. So that default message is what's actually showing here, which is recorded attendance to the SMS Optimization Webinar, which is the name of the organization that we're using here, and the meeting date and time and the person that replied. And so very powerful feature. And if I go over to this meeting and I refresh it, I can see all the people that have actually replied. And I'm going to just scan through that quickly to protect your privacy and not let everybody see the whole list. And it looks like only a few people have replied, but you can see that I've got real-time attendance there, which is a really cool, very powerful feature. So let's move on to the next thing. Oh, let me actually show you some of the others here. There's a whole drop down here. You can opt in and opt out, attending, regrets, recording attendance. You can add somebody to an organization or add them to a small group. This is another really powerful one, which is just sending a reply. So this is the example of maybe send the word woman or retreat, and we'll send you a personalized link, and you could put in a link that would take them to register for the women's retreat or a men's retreat or some other kind of event. Very powerful, and there's all kinds of options for how you can use this. So let me show you some other examples here. The next thing is special links. So if you've been on the SMS Management or the SMS sending page, you've noticed I showed you where you can schedule them. You've probably noticed this link, this button too, which is new, where you can actually insert special links. I don't have time, unfortunately, to go into all the powerful uses of special links, but there's all kinds of links here that you can put in here that make it super easy for somebody to respond to an action. So whether it's registering for an event as an individual or registering for their family, maybe it's a regrets or an RSVP, maybe it's a send link for mission trips or supporting a mission trip, or a vote link if you're just wanting to know an answer of something. You can put those links in here, and I'll just give a quick example of a register link, and I'm just going to make up an organization ID, and I'll copy and put that in here. And when you put in here, here is your link to register. There's two things I want to call out. This is what the link looks like now, but if you all have looked at emails, you know that this link becomes very long because it's a personalized link that is sent to the person. And if you send it to 100 people, it would send 100 different personalized links to those people. And so what we've done is we have built a URL shortener into this. So it shortens the URL. And you can see the example here where it says, hello, Chris. Here's your personalized link to register for the men's retreat. We hope you're able to join us. And it shortens that URL to something that is very manageable. If you put in an HTTP or an HTTPS in front of a link, like we've done here, then it will shorten that URL. The other thing that I wanted to call out from this slide is replacement codes work. So if you want to personalize this message, hello, first, then that will replace with their first name and send them a very personalized message. Very powerful tool. So let's go on to the next thing. Conversations. Maybe you want to send out a message to a bunch of people, checking in how they're doing. All of that shows up within Touchpoint. In fact, let me show you here. If you are on this page where you manage the different groups, if you click on this box next to the different people's names, those people will receive a notice every time somebody replies to a message. So it makes it very easy for them to go and find that message and send a reply. And those messages, I don't have open, unfortunately, but it actually has a link that takes you to the message. And then on that page, you can see the message and you can click the little arrow next to their message and send a reply right back to them. Once you've sent a reply, and here are two examples where I actually replied back, it will gray that out so that everybody else knows that that message has been replied to. The other place you can go is to the person's communication tab in SMS, and you can see all the different messages. So here you can see Touchpoint support first sent, hi, and it would have replaced with Chris. How are you doing with everything going on in the world? And then Chris replied, I'm great, thanks for checking in. And they replied, absolutely, let us know how we can be praying for you. And Chris said, please pray for perseverance, thanks. And they said, we will do. So very powerful. You can see those, and you can sort these by the different groups to see the different chains, and it will group all the messages there together, all in the thread. The other powerful way we've seen churches already starting to use this is responding to requests. So you may put this up on your screen during your worship service, or if you're in your live stream, and say, if you've got a prayer request, please send that to this number. So here's another example, and let's pull out your phones, and if people have prayer requests, I will commit to praying for those prayer requests tonight. So please text your prayer request to this number, and you will get free prayer from Touchpoint. So I'll give you a minute to do that. And there's all kinds of other examples that you could use this for. You could put this up on your screen for, respond to this number with this, and open up all kinds of possibilities for your church. But the prayer is one of the things we've seen the most, and it's a very, very cool, very powerful feature. The last one I want to call out is deep linking. This is a very powerful tool. In fact, it's such a cool tool that we're actually going to do a separate webinar on this in 2 weeks. And so here's the details on that, and it'll be deep linking, driving app adoption, and much more. Thursday, July 9th at 2 p.m. So the link to register is in the newsfeed on your Touchpoint homepage, or you can find it on the Touchpoint website. But this is a very powerful tool. And let me just tell you real quick how this works. So in this case, and you all are free to try this out. If you text to that same number, the 901-44-2466, and you reply with the word update, it will send you a response and it's a reply word that I'll show you here, where it's just sending you a reply, and it's saying, here's your personalized link to update your account, and then it's sending you a link to the app that we put together for this webinar. And so here, because none of you have that app, it's actually going to, if you click on that link, it's actually going to take you to the App Store listing where you can download this app if you'd like. You're welcome to, feel free to, don't feel like you have to. But if you download that app, then you'll be prompted to log in, and then you can be taken to the page to update your information, where you can go and change any of your contact information, your first name, last name, all of that kind of stuff. So again, this is really powerful, and there's a lot of different links that are possible, and we're going to talk about this in more depth in 2 weeks. But basically what it's doing is it's deep linking you into the app, into functionality to drive adoption. So things like pushing people to giving within the app, updating their profile, viewing their giving history, or they're downloading a statement, registering for events, you name it. There's all kinds of possibilities. If it's in your app, we can link to it, and it's a really powerful feature. So come back in 2 weeks to learn more about that. So lastly, I'm just going to say, if you found another use, I'd love to hear it. So go ahead and put that in the Q&A. You know, in the promotion for this, we told you to bring your ideas, and if we have some time at the end here, I hope that I can share some other creative ideas that different churches are using this tool for. So go ahead and put those in there if you found another use. So how do you roll this out? Let me start with this. I would encourage you to start small. You don't want to bombard your people with text messages tomorrow. Maybe put up some reply words in your worship service, or put up the number and ask people to send in prayer requests. Start using it for some things like that, and get people used to the idea that this is a tool that you can now start using to communicate with. One tip that I'll throw out there is that Twilio actually recommends that you have one number per 200 people that you're actually sending a text message to. And I'll explain what that means in a little bit more depth here. So if you go to the Twilio management page, we recommend that you actually set up different groups that you're sending to. And if your women's ministry has 200 people or less, then you're fine just attaching one number to it, like you see in this example. And only this group has a number, because we didn't want to buy a bunch of numbers here, but you can go in and add lots of different numbers, as many as you have registered in your account. And so if you have, say, 1,000 people that you're sending text messages regularly to, you'll want to consider buying 5 numbers from Twilio to add to that group. So the other thing I'll mention about rollout is think through your opt-in and opt-out strategy. Just like on the initial text that I sent, I would recommend the first text that you do send to people, give them the option to opt out. Let them know up front that how to opt out of those texts, and make it really clear and make it really easy. And even occasionally, as you're sending messages, it's a good practice to put in a reply word for how to do that. And you can actually have a standard reply word that you can choose per group. So in this case, in the text I sent out initially, I said, "No thanks" is your opt-out word. Next, I want to talk about managing lists. So I just talked about the first message actually being something where people are either opting in or opting out. I think that's an important thing. One thing is we're seeing churches trying to grow their list. I do think it is okay to send an initial message to a large group of people, and with the caveat that you can tell them how to opt in that message. And maybe you don't send future messages to people unless they've opted in to that group. Consider mailing list. Just like we recommend things like your weekly or monthly newsletters being managed by an organization within Touchpoint, you could create an organization within Touchpoint to manage who is going to get text messages or not. And you can put those, you can put people in that, and then they can easily opt in or opt out using reply words, or if it's in your subscription list, the same place that all your email subscriptions are managed, they can go to the manage email subscriptions and check a box to opt in or opt out of things. So you want to make it super easy for people to get in or off the list if they don't want to. The other thing is using these SMS groups. I showed you how those work over here, where you have different groups for different ministries. That's a really important thing. If you just have one number where all the different ministries are using it, people will get too many messages, and then they might opt out of, say, a message from a particular ministry when they might want to stay on the main list for all the other ministries. And I'll show you here on the communications tab, you can actually, people can see their opt-outs, and you can see their opt-outs right here and add opt-outs if people say, I don't want to receive messages. And these links actually, if you reply to one of the opt-out words, you're opting in or opting out of the actual group is the way that works. So it's important that you're using groups and you're using them consistently in how you communicate with people. So I think that's all the content. So I actually will have some time for Q&A. I just want a little housekeeping thing. If you are not already a current partner church of Touchpoints, we would love to get to know you, and you can sign up for a free demo at touchpointsoftware.com/tryit. And it's a no pressure, easy way to get a demo and learn about all the other powerful features that we offer besides SMS. So we hope you'll consider doing that. And I will move into some time for questions.
Yeah, I've been monitoring the questions. They've been coming in. We had I looked away for a minute and a flood came in. And so I'm just going to scroll back to, some of these are pretty like technical. So I'll sort of just cherry pick a few. We do have a lot of time left. I think we allowed an hour for this, didn't we, Chris?
No, I was 30 minutes.
30 minutes? Awesome. Okay. Well.
Yeah. That's why I was rushing through everything.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So one question is, what if someone sends a reply word and their phone number is not in the Touchpoint database? What happens?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, so there's one reply word that will continue to work if they're not in the database, and that is reply with a message or send a reply. Because we don't need to know anything about a person in order to send them a reply. So if you say something like, you know, the example I gave with update, and it sends them a reply to a deep link into your app, that will work with anybody in the system. If you're RSVPing for an event or marking yourself as attended or one of these other reply words, your number does need to be in the system. If it's not, you'll get a default message that says your number is not recognized and to contact the church office. There is a place in the settings for your database where you can customize that message and put in whatever message you want. And this is another really great use of deep linking, where you can actually say, we're sorry, we don't recognize the number, that we don't have an account associated with this phone number. You can go here and you can put a deep link to the update your account in the app, and they can easily go and update their account and add a phone number, and then any future replies will continue to work. So if you're not a user of our app, we'd encourage you to use it. But we've seen churches also take you to a place where you can log into your account or create an account to update your account if you're not a user of the app. So great question. This will help you get your data clean. Another thing I'll mention along that front is we've heard of some churches saying, wow, I'm realizing a lot of my families have cell phone number used across multiple records. So we actually put in the blog last week a report that you can run on your database that will actually help you identify where there's duplicate phone numbers and clean those up. The way that that works if somebody does have a duplicate phone number, is that it will try to take the head of households, the oldest person in the family or head of household first. So it's assuming that you're texting or communicating with the adults first, and then go down that list. If the head of households do not have cell phone numbers, then it would assume that it would be the child, and it would take the oldest child first. So that's the way that works. If multiple people have the same cell phone number, which really shouldn't be the case since cell phone numbers are unique.
Awesome. Another question I really liked is, are prayer requests captured in any special way or just in the SMS list?
Yeah, so those will go into the SMS list, into the received for that group. So if you're using prayer request, I've seen some churches actually set up a number just for prayer request. And I didn't go into depth on this, but one of the things we added is that you can actually filter all those messages by SMS group, by date, by all kinds of things. So you have a lot more flexibility, and we added the blue toolbar there, so you could actually in mass send a reply to all the people that if you had something that maybe wasn't a reply word, but you wanted to, if people texted no and you had 20 people reply no, you could filter by the word no, and then you could send a reply to all those people at one time using the blue toolbar. Very powerful.
Another question I thought was really good has to do around the number that sends, that Twilio uses to send. So is it always going to be the same number, or will it be multiple numbers?
So the numbers are associated per group. So again, it depends on how many numbers you are using per your group. But for example, a prayer request where you're mainly just receiving messages, it's fine to just have one number there. If you're sending to, say, 1,000 people, there could be 5, and you follow Twilio's recommendation of one number per 200 people, then there could be 5 different numbers that somebody's replying to. The reply words will actually work for every one of those numbers. So the reply words are attached to the group, not to the physical number. And the other thing, and so are the opt-outs. The opt-in and opt-outs are not out of the phone number, but it's out of the group attached to that number. So when you're going in to send a message, and I'll show this real quick. If I went here to Chris's record, and I go here to send a message to him, then I can choose which group. And right now I only have permission set up for me to send from one group, but I can choose which group. And if there's only one number in that group, it'll go from that one number. And if not, it could be any of those 5 numbers potentially.
Awesome. I'm sure there's some more details around why the multiple numbers is a best practice or something that Twilio has adopted. But I really wanted, since we've only got 2 minutes left, to get to this question. And actually, it's not a question, it's a comment. And this person says, for online services, we have found that people prefer the phrase text to sign up rather than the phrase URL to sign up by 20-1. When given the option to do either, 95% choose text to sign up.
Wow. I see one question here that I feel like I want to clarify. Somebody asked, will they be able to link to any page we have in our app? We have set up deep linking for many of the standard pages within the app. Those are all listed in our documentation. If there are pages within your app that are not linked there, please let us know. We will be, in each release, we will be supporting more and more deep links, but we try to pick all the most popular pages, and we are supporting those first. So it's not, I might have misspoke, it's not every page within the app, but there are a lot of different possibilities, and we will be supporting more in the future.
Awesome. So Chris, we are at we've got 1 minute left, and I see you're looking at the questions as well. So let's pick one more to answer, and then we'll let everybody get some time back in their day.
Well, I want to leave people with one thing here. So,
all right.
So this is a fun little test that I put together. And so if you pull out your phones, this is what I'll leave you with. Take the same number that you've been replying to. If you text the word test, I've put together a little Bible quiz for you. And you can see how this is completely automated with text messaging. and a really cool, fun tool that you might want to consider using with your church congregants. It could be something fun for if you have a particular group or class that is learning a certain thing. You can easily set this up and automate these tests. So go ahead and send the word test to this number and it will start the process. Don't worry, it's only a 3-question little quiz, and it gives little hints and options to skip as well. And so that's one little thing I want to leave you with.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for showing up today. I'm just blown away by all of these great questions and comments that have come in. And so we'll be following up with you if we didn't get a chance to answer your question during today's presentation. And we look forward to seeing everyone back here on July 9th.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Happy texting.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.